Factoring by greatest common factor. Alright, so our first concept is going to be factoring using the greatest common factor for polynomials. Alright, so we're pulling out a monomial, okay, or one value from a polynomial. Okay, and we're going to use the distributive property, and this is kind of how we've used the distributive property in the past. Right, we have a value and we're multiplying by a polynomial, okay, by two separate terms, and we distribute that value into both of those terms. Alright, here's an example with numbers. 3 times x plus 2 is going to equal 3 times x plus 3 times 2, or 6. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use that same process, but we're going to use it in reverse. Alright? So what we're looking for is a common factor to pull out of both of these that we can put on the outside of that polynomial. Okay? So our first job is to find the common factor, find the greatest common factor. So we've got 3 and 5, and we've got 9 and x, and 3 and 3. Okay, and those are all my factors, so my greatest common factor is going to be 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that out of each of these. So I'm going to pull out this 3 and this 3. Okay, and then whatever's left is going to be in the same spot for that term. So I have 3x, 3 times 3x. My sign stays the same, minus, and then what I've got 5 left from that 15. Okay, so that just factored out that binomial into a value times the binomial. Okay, let's look at another one. Just like factoring monomials, we can factor out a variable as well. So if I factor this, I'd have 12 and x squared, which would be x and x. 12 would be 3 and 4, and 2 and 2. So this would be x and 6, or 3 and 2. Okay, greatest common factor, I've got 2's in common, 3's in common, and x in common. Okay, so I'm going to put that all together. 2 times 3 times x, 6x on the outside. And over here I've got 2 and x left, so that's going to be 2x. And it's a plus. I've used up all of this, so what I have left is just 1. Okay? And once you've done that, you should go back and check. You should basically do the distributive property to make sure you didn't make any mistakes. 6x times 2x is going to be 6 times 2 is 12. X times x is x squared. 12x squared plus 1 times 6x is 6x, and it does turn out the same way. Okay. All right. Last one, we have a trinomial. So I know right here I don't have any x. I don't have any of my variable, so I can't pull out an x. Okay. The only number that is a factor of this is going to be 3 or negative 3. And it is a factor of both of these other terms, so I don't have to necessarily do my factorization tree on all of these. If you can recognize what the factors are, what the greatest common factor is, my greatest common factor in this case is going to be a negative 3. Okay, and I'm going to pull out that negative because it's going to make the rest of my trinomial be a lot cleaner. Okay, so if I pull out negative 3, I'm left with x squared. If I pull out negative 3 from negative 6x, I'm going to be left with a positive 2x. And if I pull out a negative 3 from a negative 12, I'm going to be left with a positive 4. Okay. And there we have it, a factored trinomial. This is as simplified as we can make it until we understand, or until we get a value of x.